Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my sketchbook. Well, it's another sort of rainy day. I don't think it'll be super rainy, but I think it should be an okay day just to go and do some fun stuff. So just be prepared for that, depending on where you are. It's still Shark Week. Now, yesterday I didn't do a drawing specific to Shark Week. In fact, uh, yeah, I didn't do a drawing, but that's okay. Let's see what we can do here today. Let's try to zoom in on the page a little bit here. Let's go to there, I think. See if that'll lock down. Here's the idea. Let's sort of rough out something here. You know, I think water safety is very important, and I think you have to be careful with uh, playing practical jokes on people, especially when it comes to dealing with their innate fears. So, for example, um, if you're, let's say, at a swimming pool, I don't think it's funny to use glass, especially like clear glass, when you're around the pool. So you have to be careful with that kind of stuff, just because, well, clear glass disappears in clear water. And so that's something you have to be aware of. Another thing is, well, a pool's a little bit different in general, but I don't know. I'm thinking of something kind of zany, and that would be somebody in a swimming pool pretending to be a shark. So I'm not going to let this just be a surprise. So I'm trying to think of somebody in a pool pretending to be a shark. Now we have our goggles on. Hmm. So let me think. I was going to think of water wings, but I don't know if that would really work out the same way. I still could, of course. Hmm. Now, I don't know if I have a favorite between Aquaman and Prince Namor. Now, in the Marvel universe, we got to see Prince Namor in a Black Panther movie, and they made him very different than the one that I remember. The one that I remember, he looks a little bit like Eddie Munster. Um, let's see. Or at least the hairdo anyway, so sort of like a widow's peak. And then, yeah. And in this movie, he looks a little like perhaps he could be Aztec or like an ancient sort of culture. Where am I going here? Oh, yeah, shorts. Oh, the other idea that I have going on here would be, well, put a little bit of an ankle there. I want there to be so that's almost like the natural length of the foot. I wonder who the first person was that they decided that wouldn't it be neat to have a device that could help you swim better in the water. I wonder who that would have been. That's an interesting thing. I mean, of course, you'd look at other creatures. Let's give this kind of like Crocs strap here, just like that. That way you're built for speed. Now let's see. This leg. We're going to have one kind of come back here a little bit. Create a little bit of an ankle there. A spot where the heel can go into the device. Got to have some cool flippers. A natural length of the toe there. And this one doesn't have to curve. This one doesn't perfectly curve, mind you. But we don't have to have that one curve as dramatically. Let this kind of so roughly there, roughly there. So that's kind of the idea of the swimmer. We'll have a little tie there. Now that we have our swimmer, who seems to be up to something, as I said, this one's going to be pretending to be a shark. So now how do we get that device on the back? Well, we're going to ensure that there's like a strap there, let's say. One here. Needs to kind of go underneath the armpit, I think. Like I said, I almost like the look of a dorsal fin that almost seems like it's been chewed on, but still streamlined on the front. Now, let's see if we can find a few other things going on with this here. Do we want to have little fish? And maybe we need to have a starfish partially here. Over here, let's have a fish swimming this way, little tiny fish. We'll have a starfish here, let's say. A little bit of a fish here. A partial starfish right here. Back here, let's have a small part of a starfish there. Could be anything. And the tail of one of the fishies. I think that's enough kind of detail to show that they're not just plain. Now let's work on some of the harness-like thing. Now, let's put in this speed strap. I wonder if the makers of Crocs kind of got that idea. Well, you know, it's a convenience thing too. I mean, you can leave it at the front here, or you can put it around the back. But I wonder if they got the idea from flippers. Here in Canada, and I'm sure at some of the US locations of Tim Hortons, you could buy Crocs related items. At least for the past little bit, they were related to each other as some sort of collaboration, which is kind of funny that they do that kind of thing every so often. There's always an association with Tim Hortons and hockey. It's because its founder was an actual hockey player. Which is kind of neat. there was someone named Tim Horton. Now, Tim Hortons in general, as of the past little while, they've been pretty ambitious with a lot of things. They've uh, they've expanded their menu to not just get the coffee drinking crowd. They've gone out of their way to look for the lunch crowd as well. And that's an interesting thing. Most Tim Hortons locations, they they have like a next in line sort of way of dealing with customers, which is uh, they don't usually get you to pull off to one side so they can finish making you whatever it is that you ordered for your lunch. Uh, so if all you want from Tim Hortons is a coffee and a donut, and you have to wait for someone to get their pizza made, well, you got to wait in that lineup. Now, I don't drink coffee, but I do like a donut every so often. I'm not really willing to wait in a lineup behind people that order sandwiches and, well, whatever else. When I was a kid, Tim Hortons was a place where you could also get. Why am I even talking about this? Anyway, Tim Hortons was a place where you could get a full size cake, and often they were made in store, and they were some of the most decadent looking cakes that you can imagine. They had usually uh, a display for them. It was like a case basically, and I remember they made like a black forest cake. That thing looked amazing. I've only had a slice of one, and that would have been quite some time ago. They stopped making that stuff. Now, maybe there's a location that still is making them. I don't really know. But yeah. There was also a time when you could smoke in the restaurant. And depending on what time of day and when the donuts came out, your donuts would be a little bit smoky. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm just doing a little bit of outlining just to show. I might have talked about this in other videos, but um, I do believe sharks are a little bit more innate in their hunting, that they're not really, I think they're curious creatures, but they're not like orcas. Orcas plan and they go on about their day, uh, trying to think of ways to get food, or they might even play around with their food too. I don't think sharks are like that. I think sharks are like, oh, is that food? Let's go check that out. I'm just doing a little bit of outlining around the face of our pool menace, our pool joker. You know, if you're in the water, um, let's say like at a beach, and you're pretending to be a shark, not nearly as funny, at least I don't think so, as just being in a swimming pool. let's say. Because there shouldn't be a shark in the swimming pool, so that's slightly more tolerable. Okay. I think that's going to be kind of it. I don't need to go too much further than that. Let this sort of strap thing here get to where it needs to be. Finish off some part of the goggles, and then I will be done. Ooh, that was a big drop of ink. Oh no. Oh yeah. Wow. That happens every so often. I didn't even notice it building up there. So, that's a fun way to kind of ruin a picture. What I will have to do with that, if I want to preserve it, is see if I can get some more out of this. Wow, it really just fell out of there, didn't it? Okay. How much time do I have? Not lots of time. I need that to dry. Then I can use like an acrylic marker. One of these. Huh. That is funny. And see if I can just sort of blur out some of it. It's not going to work out perfectly for me though. It would take a few coats. And let that dry a little bit. I may have to revisit that because I need that to dry a little bit before I can go with another coat. Well, that was fun. Now, the other crafty thing, of course, would be to utilize that in some way and go with a dark background throughout. I don't always do that because I don't always put that kind of time into some of these doodles. I spent all that time talking about Tim Horton. Let's try another little bit on this. Yeah, I don't think it's too wet. Let me try one more thing. I thought I had some whiteout nearby, and sometimes you can put down a layer of that material, but I don't have any of that material nearby. So the thumbnail may end up looking a little bit different because I will have to take my time going back and forth with this. I'll have to encapsulate some of that. Let it soak up a little bit. Yeah, it's going to take multiple coats. Well, folks, I'm going to leave that kind of like that because I don't know if it's going to be fun for you guys to me just revisiting this over and over and over again, but that's one of the hazards of ink like that, especially in this water-soluble sort of state that I'm using it in. Let's leave it like that. Check out the thumbnail. I may revisit this at some point just for fun, just so you can show you the other steps. And maybe I will do like a blue background with like an aquamarine, like maybe something like this, and just kind of blur blend something in just so that it all kind of makes sense after I do a bit more of that. So yeah, check back again, I suppose. I think that's going to be kind of it. Let me look at this again. Still a little bit wet. I admit that's sort of frustrating. All right. Let's just say that's it for now. If I go any further, I think you saw where I was going with this. And if you have a name that you want this swimmer to go by, let me know in the comments. You know, the Squid, Squiddy, I don't know, because of the ink that fell out of there. That's hilarious. All right. Ciao for now.